What's up, guys? Welcome to Cage Side Connor. I am Connor. This is going to be my UFC 317 fight card predictions and breakdown video. Going to be going over UFC 317, going to give you some picks, going to break down the fights, tell you what's up. UFC 317, of course, going down this weekend. That will be June 28th, 2025, International Fight Week. Of course, being headlined by Ilia Topuria versus Charles do Bronx Oliveira for the vacant UFC lightweight belt. Co-main event, of course, going to be Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Car France for the God, I almost said heavyweight, the flyweight title of the UFC. Let's get into the video then, guys. First fight then, your main event, Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira for the vacant UFC lightweight title. Ilia Topuria coming in at a minus 450. Charles Oliveira coming in at a plus 345. Odds heavily stacked in Ilia Topuria's favor here. And honestly, I'm finding it hard to go with Charles. As much as I love him, it's a tough one for him. Or so it seems, right? Ilia Topuria, of course, moving up to lightweight for his second fight at lightweight inside of the UFC, I believe. Charles Oliveira, of course, long time UFC veteran at this point. Most of his career at lightweight. This one pains me because I feel like Charles is probably going to get knocked out here, and that saddens me. That saddens me quite a bit. You know, it's funny the comparisons you can make with Ilia Topuria and Conor McGregor, or early Conor McGregor. You know, jumping up weight classes, has all the knockout power in the world. And yeah, this is kind of giving me a lot of vibes from when Conor McGregor moved up to fight Nate Diaz. Of course, that was at welterweight, but this is we're kind of all overlooking Charles, just like we were Nate Diaz. You know, it just seemed like when McGregor moved up, he was just this unstoppable force, and it just seemed like a foregone conclusion that he was going to knock out Nate Diaz, and he didn't. We all remember how that first fight ended up turning out for Conor McGregor. I think things are going to go a little bit differently, though, here for Ilya. For one thing, this isn't at welterweight. This is at lightweight. And Charles Oliveira is certainly known for taking hits, right? He gets dropped pretty much every fight, you know, or hurt very badly, like he did in his last fight against Michael Chandler. And Ilia Topuria just puts guys away, man. I mean, coming off 2 knockout wins in a row over Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway. Max Holloway, in which never been knocked out before, and Ilya wiped the floor with him, man. I mean, it was a close fight, don't get me wrong, through the first 3 rounds until it ended there, and Ilya put him away, man. I just feel like he's going to end up doing the same thing to Charles here. He's going to clip him inside the first 2 rounds, if I had to guess. I'd be surprised if this makes it into round 3, but I don't know. You never know. I mean, maybe Charles ends up clipping him and takes his back at some point, gets a sub, and you know, who knows? Maybe the weight class is too much for Ilya. You know, he is a smaller guy. Like, he looked right at featherweight. That's why it surprises me so much that he's so much trouble making weight, according to him at least. Making that flyweight weight limit, because you know, his frame seems perfectly suited for flyweight. So let's see if the power carries up with him into this new weight class, and if he's able to put away a guy like Charles Oliveira. Of course, when he was at lightweight, he brutally knocked out God, who was it? I can't remember the fighter's name at the moment. Don't got it. But he did put that guy away. Can he do the same to Charles? I'd imagine so. I'd imagine he gets a couple of knockdowns and then finishes Charles at some point. Let's not forget that Ilia Topuria, a very good grappler in his own right. So yeah, I think it's a great main event. It's a great fight. It's unfortunate that it's not Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, but what are you going to do? Islam wants to move up, fight for the welterweight title. Can't really blame him, especially for all he's done at lightweight at this point. So Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira is not a bad second get at all, and I'm very much looking forward to it. The co-main event, oh no, of course, Ilia Topuria beat Max Holloway, like I said. Charles Oliveira, of course, coming off that win over Michael Chandler back at the MSG card last year, which was a pretty good fight, good showing from Charles Oliveira. I think I just more so question where Michael Chandler is at in his career. But yeah, now we'll move on to the co-main. Co-main being Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Car France Alexander Pantoja coming in at a minus 240. Kaikar France plus 205. Alexander Pantoja, of course, coming off that win over Kai Escora from late last year. I believe that happened in the December pay-per-view, if I'm correct, where he just absolutely dominated him. Kai Escora, you could question why that man got a title shot so quickly in the UFC. I mean, his UFC debut, and he's already getting a title shot. I know he was a rising champion and everything, but yeah, probably shouldn't have been in there with him. Kaikar France coming off that great knockout win over Steve Erceg last August. I mean, that was picture perfect, beautiful, in a fight that I actually thought Kaikar France would end up losing just because I'm pretty high on Steve Erceg. But nah, he proved me wrong, man. He has dynamite in his hands and he put Steve Erceg away. I'm still leaning Pantoja here. I think Pantoja will get it done. I think he'll get it done probably by decision. Kaikar France kind of hard to finish. I know Brandon Moreno finished him in the last time Kaikar France tried to capture UFC flyweight gold, but I do think Pantoja is gonna have trouble putting him away, and he'll squeeze out some rounds. I'd imagine Pantoja wins 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5 rounds, and gets a pretty unanimous decision here. Next fight is Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. Money Moicano, of course, coming in at a minus 155. Beneil Dariush coming at a plus 235. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Renato Moicano here. I think Money Moicano is going to get this done. He's, of course, coming off that devastating loss to Islam Makhachev, in which he filled in to fight for the title on short notice after Arman Tsarukyan pulled out due to back issues or whatever the fuck was going on there. And yeah, he did not look great in that fight, but he was supposed to fight Beneil Dariush that night. So we're kind of finally getting it here 6 months later. And I think it's a good matchup. I think it's a good fight. Beneil Dariush, we haven't seen since he fought Arman Tsarukyan way back in 2023, in which he got pretty brutally knocked out in the first round. So yeah, this is kind of a fight between two gatekeeper guys at lightweight, I want to call them. They're both 36 now, so not too many fights left on their career. Renato Moicano was on a really great surgeon, but he just hit a wall with Islam Makhachev that I don't think he'll ever be able to get back to that spot where he's fighting for the title. But I do think Beneil Dariush is a great fight for him, and I'd imagine Moicano gets it done by finish. You know, I say that, but then I do question. Beneil Dariush does have pretty good knockout power, and Renato Moicano not the best chin in the game, so we'll see how that goes. I'm leaning towards Moicano. I think I'll get it done. I think I'll get it done by finish at that. I'd guess second or third round submission if I had to bet. Next fight, I'm excited for this one. Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. This fight just recently added. Of course, it was supposed to be Brandon Royval versus Manel Kape on this card. Was supposed to take place early on the prelims. Manel Kape out due to injury. Forget exactly what the injury was. And in steps Joshua Van, who, man, this kid, he just fights non-stop. I believe this is his 7th fight in the last 18 months or something like that. Something insane like that. And good for him, man. I mean, young 23-year-old, but he's getting a huge step up here. Minus 120 for Joshua Van, plus 100 for Brandon Royval. This one's tough, right? Because I do think this is too big a step up too soon for Joshua Van. You got to remember, this kid's only 23. Doesn't have a single win over a ranked flyweight in the UFC, unless Bruno Silva was ranked. But if he was, like 14, 15. Brandon Royval's ranked 1. Brandon Royval coming off a win over Tatsuro Taira from late last year. He's also coming off a win over Brandon Moreno, former champ, and Joshua Van coming off that win over Bruno Silva from UFC 316. Quick turnaround for the kid. I mean, he can certainly do it. He's certainly young enough, but it's just, I don't know, man. I don't see Joshua Van getting this one done. I think Brandon Royval is a little too durable, a little too gritty, a little too just good at fighting to let this kid come in there and show him what's up, especially on a short camp for him. Granted, he was already in shape because he fought so recently, but yeah, I see Brandon Royval actually squeezing this one out. So if you're better, man, go for it on this one, because Royval is a dog, and I would imagine he wins a decision and kind of shows this kid what's up. But hey, credit to Josh Van. If he can get this one done, give him a title shot. Why the fuck not? Our last fight on the main card then was Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. Peyton Talbot coming in at a plus 160, Felipe Lima a minus 185. Peyton Talbot coming off that brutal loss, first loss in his career to Ronnie Barcelos back in January, in which yeah, he got outclassed and he got shown, and as the kids say, fraud checked. Peyton Talbot did not look good in that fight. He he certainly had a grappling disadvantage, and then Ronnie Barcelos was able to lay it on with the hands too later in that fight. So yeah, it just seems like Peyton Talbot needs more time. He was certainly a very hype prospect going into that fight, and it seemed like we'd be talking about Peyton Talbot being in the rankings come the end of 2025 if he were to have won the fight with Ronnie Barcelos, but yeah, just wasn't able to get it done, and we'll see. The kid's 26 now, so will he bounce back? How will he bounce back? And this is a tough test because Felipe Lima coming off the decision win to Miles Johns, and this guy's good. Felipe Lima is very good. He's very well-rounded, good striking, good grappling, good everywhere. He's just another young prospect in this bantamweight division, which is just stacked full of them. So let's see if Peyton Talbot bounces back here. Let's see if he's able to get this done. I would probably lean towards Felipe Lima by decision. I think he's gonna be able to out-grapple him. I think he's gonna be able to outpoint him on the feet. So let's see. I'm rooting for Peyton Talbot though, because I do like the kid. I like his mindset, and he's a fun guy to have around. So see if he can bounce back. And yeah, that will do it for the main card. Here's my full picks in the make me small. Ooh, look at that. Here's my full picks in the green for the card. Got Ilya Topuria winning. Alexander Pantoja, Nathan McConnell, Brandon Roybal. I also put how I think they're gonna win by. Did the prelim picks for you all too. So there you go. One I did want to point out from the prelims is Jack Manson versus Gregory Rodriguez. Jack Manson's a dog right now. And so I'm leaning towards Jack Manson being able to win that. Jack Manson pretty good on the feet. I'm surprised he's such a big dog in this one. Gregory Rodriguez coming off that loss to Jared Cannonier, which was a pretty brutal loss, and he's got a pretty quick turnaround here. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what the odds makers are seeing there. Maybe it's just because Jack Manson's coming off a long layoff. But yeah, I think that's a good one to pick if you're looking for some good odds there. Go with Jack Manson by decision. I think you could do worse. And last thing I want to do, guys, on this card is I want to do this thing where I like rate the cards before and after each event. So for this card, UFC 317, I'm gonna give it an 8.3 on paper. I think it's a good card. It's not the best International Fight Week pay-per-view we've ever seen. It's not the worst, certainly, but it's a good, solid main event, solid co-main. Rounded out the main card pretty well here, even including all the injuries that happened, like Paulo Costa versus Roman Kavilov was supposed to be on this card. That got kicked off. So all things considered, I would give this card on paper before we see anything, just heading in an 8.3. I think it's a solid card. And then I will also rank it after the card for the post-fight card rating. And then we'll kind of be able to compare and contrast all the cards at the end of the year and have a nice, concise list of the events. And I hope you guys enjoy that. Let me know in the comments if you like the video. Let me know anything I can improve on. This is new to me. This is all very new to me, making videos and all that. So yeah, be nice, be gentle. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know your rating for the card before it happens. Let me know your picks, all that stuff. And thanks for watching, guys. See you later.